Last time, we discussed the events leading up to Julius Caesar's assassination on the Ides of March. Today, we'll talk about what happened after his death and how it led to the fall of the Roman Republic. Jesse, what was the immediate reaction in Rome?
It's great to be back, Chris. Right after Caesar's assassination, the city of Rome was thrown into chaos. Many people were shocked and confused. The conspirators, led by Brutus and Cassius, thought they would be celebrated as liberators of the Republic. But that's not what happened at all.
Exactly. Instead of cheering, the people of Rome were angry and upset. Caesar was very popular among the common people, and his death felt like a huge betrayal. The conspirators were forced to flee the city to avoid being attacked by the mob.
So their plan backfired? They didn't restore the Republic as they hoped?
Yes, their plan totally backfired. The people's reaction showed that they saw Caesar not as a tyrant, but as a hero. This put the conspirators in a very difficult position. They had no real plan for what to do next. Meanwhile, two of Caesar's most loyal supporters stepped forward: Mark Antony and Caesar's adopted heir, Octavian.
Mark Antony was already a powerful figure. He was Caesar's right-hand man and served as his co-consul. After Caesar's death, Antony took charge and gave a famous speech at Caesar's funeral. He used this opportunity to turn the people against the conspirators.
Oh, is that where he said, "Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears"?
Exactly. That line is from Shakespeare's play, but it captures the essence of Antony's speech. He reminded the people of all the good things Caesar had done for Rome, and he even read Caesar's will, which revealed that Caesar had left money and public parks for the people of Rome.
The crowd was moved to tears and became furious at the conspirators. It was a brilliant move by Antony. He turned public opinion completely against Brutus and Cassius, forcing them to leave Rome.
And what about Octavian? Where does he fit into all this?
Octavian was just 18 years old at the time, and he was studying in Greece when Caesar was killed. But when he heard the news, he immediately returned to Rome, declaring that he was Caesar's rightful heir. His real name was Gaius Octavius, but he started calling himself Gaius Julius Caesar Octavianus to show that he was Caesar's son by adoption.
At first, people didn't take him seriously because of his age. But Octavian was very clever and determined. He started gathering support from Caesar's veterans and those who were still loyal to Caesar's memory. He offered to pay them the money that Caesar had promised in his will.
That's a smart move. So, did Octavian and Antony join forces to take on the conspirators?
Yes, but it wasn't that simple. Antony and Octavian didn't trust each other at first. They both wanted to control Rome, and were suspicious of each other's motives. But they realized they needed each other's support to defeat Brutus and Cassius, who were raising armies in the eastern provinces.
So in 43 BC, they formed an alliance called the Second Triumvirate, along with another politician named Lepidus. This was a formal power-sharing agreement, and together, they went after Caesar's assassins.
Did they succeed in defeating them?
Yes, they did. In 42 BC, the combined forces of Antony and Octavian faced Brutus and Cassius at the Battle of Philippi. After 2 days of fierce fighting, the assassins' forces were defeated. Both Brutus and Cassius took their own lives rather than be captured.
With the conspirators defeated, the Second Triumvirate was in control of Rome. But peace didn't last long. Tensions between Antony and Octavian soon resurfaced.
I'm guessing they didn't stay allies for long?
No, they didn't. Antony went to Egypt and formed an alliance with Cleopatra, the Queen of Egypt, who had also been involved with Caesar. This alliance, and Antony's relationship with Cleopatra, caused a scandal in Rome. Octavian used this to his advantage, portraying Antony as a traitor who was more loyal to Egypt than to Rome.
The conflict between Antony and Octavian eventually led to another civil war. In 31 BC, they faced off in the famous naval battle of Actium. Octavian's fleet, commanded by his brilliant Admiral Agrippa, defeated Antony and Cleopatra's forces.
And what happened to Antony and Cleopatra after that?
After their defeat, Antony and Cleopatra fled back to Egypt. When Octavian's forces reached them, they both chose to take their own lives, rather than be captured. With their deaths, Octavian was left as the sole ruler of Rome.
This marked the end of the Roman Republic. Octavian became known as Augustus, Rome's first emperor, and the era of the Roman Empire began.
So in the end, Caesar's death didn't bring back the Republic. It led to its end.
That's right. The Republic couldn't survive the power struggles that followed Caesar's death. Instead, it paved the way for the Roman Empire, which would last for hundreds of years.
And Augustus ruled for more than 40 years, bringing stability and prosperity to Rome after all those years of civil war.
What a story! From Caesar's rise and fall to the end of the Republic and the beginning of the Empire. Thank you for joining us today, everyone. In our final episode, we'll reflect on Caesar's legacy and how his life and death changed the course of history forever. Welcome back to the final episode of our Julius Caesar series here on A Cup of History. We've talked about Caesar's rise to power, his incredible military achievements, and his tragic assassination. Today, we'll take a step back and look at his legacy. Jesse, what do you think makes Caesar such an important figure in history?
Great to be here for this last episode, Chris. Julius Caesar is remembered for many reasons, but what stands out the most is how he changed the course of Roman history. Before Caesar, Rome was a republic where power was shared among the Senate and elected officials. But after his death, Rome transformed into an empire, ruled by a single emperor.
That's right. Caesar's actions set off a chain of events that led to the end of the Roman Republic. It wasn't his intention to create an empire, but by concentrating power in his own hands and weakening the Senate, he paved the way for the rise of Augustus, the first emperor.
So, even though he didn't live to see it, his impact was felt for centuries after his death?
Exactly. The very title, Caesar, became synonymous with power. It's where words like Kaiser in German and Tsar in Russian come from. His name itself became a symbol of authority and leadership.
Another part of his legacy is his influence on the Roman military. Caesar was a brilliant general, and his campaigns in Gaul and beyond showed what a well-organized and disciplined army could achieve. His military strategies are still studied today.
And we can't forget about his contributions to government and society. He reformed the calendar, expanded citizenship, and even tried to ease debt issues. Were these changes long-lasting?
Some of them were. For example, the Julian calendar, as we mentioned before, is still the basis for our modern calendar. His expansion of citizenship helped integrate people from different parts of the empire, making them feel more connected to Rome. But many of his political reforms were overturned after his death, because they were so closely associated with his rule.
And yet, his impact on Rome's culture and politics remained. Caesar showed that one man could wield tremendous power, even in a system designed to prevent that. This idea of a single, strong leader became central to the Roman Empire's structure.
So in a way, his legacy is a double-edged sword. He was a great leader, but his concentration of power also led to the downfall of the Republic?
That's one way to look at it. His ambition and determination brought him great success, but it also made him a lot of enemies. And ultimately, it was this concentration of power that led to his assassination. He was seen as a threat to the old Republican values, even though he believed he was doing what was best for Rome.
Another interesting aspect of his legacy is how he's been portrayed throughout history. In the centuries after his death, people have viewed Caesar in many different ways. Some see him as a tyrant who destroyed the Republic, while others view him as a visionary leader who brought stability and reform.
That's true. Even in literature and plays, like Shakespeare's Julius Caesar *, he's portrayed as both a hero and a tragic figure.
Yes, and that's why his story is still so compelling. Caesar's life is full of contradictions. He was a man of great charisma and intelligence, but also of great ambition and ruthlessness. He fought for the people, but also sought to elevate himself above all others.
And his story doesn't end with his death. It continues with the rise of Augustus and the beginning of the Roman Empire, which lasted for over 400 years and left a profound mark on European history.
So, when we talk about Caesar's legacy, we're really talking about more than just his life. We're talking about how his decisions and actions shaped the world that came after him.
Exactly. Caesar's legacy can be seen in the way modern governments balance power, in the strategies used by military leaders, and even in our everyday language. His impact is truly timeless.
And that's why he's one of history's most famous figures. His life and death are a reminder of the power and danger of ambition, and of the thin line between hero and villain.
A perfect conclusion to our series. Thank you both for sharing all these insights over the last few episodes. I think we've really given our listeners a deep understanding of who Julius Caesar was and why he's still relevant today.
It's been a pleasure, Chris. I hope everyone enjoyed this journey through history with us.
Same here. It's amazing to look back at someone who lived over 2,000 years ago and see how they shaped the world we live in today.
Definitely. Thanks for joining us, everyone. This has been A Cup of History. Stay tuned for our next series, where we'll explore another great figure from history.